Hello everyone, in today's video we will discuss about the functions of the thyroid gland, about the hormones and a little bit about the diseases. So let's start. As we all know that there is thyroid releasing hormone or thyroid releasing factor that comes from the hypothalamus, and then it stimulates the interior pituitary, from where there is release of the thyroid stimulating hormone that acts on the thyroid gland and which gives the T4 and T3. T4 is the thyroxine and T3 is the triiodothyroxine. Most of the role is played by the T4, and large quantity of T4 converted into T3. Main functions are from the thyroxine hormone in human body. And what are the normal values? Firstly, we should know about T3 and T4. So about the normal values, T4 is about 4.5 to 11 micrograms per 100 ml, and T3 is about 100 to 160 nanograms per 100 ml. And what is the normal value of TSH is the 5 micro units per liter. So these are the normal values, and these are very important. And how these hormones works in the human body. The most of the thyroxine is combines with the albumin. As we know that albumin and globulin are the two main proteins. Albumin is about 95% in the human body. So T4 combines with the albumin and performs its functions, and little bit of T4 combines with the globulin. So you can say that total protein bound thyroxine is normally 8 micrograms per 100 ml. So now next we will see that how these hormones affects. As we all know that it affects our BMR as we all know about that. If there is the raised T4, the BMR will be raised, and there will be decrease in the body weight, almost increase in everything, increase in the appetite, increase in the motions of stool, there is diarrhea, and there may be menorrhagia, metrorrhagia, and there is also increase in the cardiac output. There is increase in the blood pressure. Systolic blood pressure is more, and diastolic, then the diastolic blood pressure is, systolic is more and diastolic if normal. So we can say that there is the pulse pressure increased. We will found pulse pressure increased. And when we say that there is the increase in the intestinal movements also increases, so the absorption of the food lesser decreases, and absorption of the various contents of the food like vitamins etc. decreases. So there will be the decrease in the vitamin B12 or other vitamins, and there may be development of the anemia. Moderate anemia is present in case of the T4 increase, and there is also increase in the refluxes. Reverse is there in case of the decrease in the thyroxine hormone. These are all symptoms due to increase in the thyroxine. Reverse happens in case of the decrease in the thyroxine hormone. That is, will be hypothyroidism. And next we will see that there is also increase in the cholesterol synthesis, and there is also some kind of depression, sweating also develops. There will be, in case of the hyperthyroidism, there will be the excessive growth hormone increases, which lead to the more height than the average person. And the reverse is possible. Reverse is possible in case of the hypothyroidism, where there is the mental retardation. That is, we will call that, in case of children we call that is cretinism. There is mental retardation, low IQ, lesser height, gain in weight, these are the most common symptoms, as we all know about the cretinism is present in case of the children. So now after this we will discuss about that T3, T4 and TSH are the major hormones which should be checked during any investigation related to the thyroid gland, if the physician see about or doubted about the functions of the thyroid gland. Now next we will see some of the diseases related to the thyroid gland. First one is the goiter. What is goiter? Goiter means, it is a Latin word that has derived from the word gutter, and that means related to the throat. So goiter is related to the throat. As we all know, when there is the goiter, there will be the enlargement of the thyroid glands, and these may be simple goiter, toxic, simple goiter, toxic goiter, neoplastic, where are the tumors, neoplastic goiter, and thyroiditis, there is the inflammation of the thyroid glands. So mainly there are of three types of goiters, that is the diffuse one. In all the category there is the diffuse one, there is the nodular, and there is the colloidal. So what is diffuse one? In diffused one, it is scattered all over the gland. Nodular is a small part of the gland is involved. And in case of colloidal, as we know that there are the follicles inside the, if we see the histology, and there are the cuboidal and columnar cells in which there is the formation of thyroid gland. So the center part, the pinkish part, that is the colloidal. So that is the enlargement of the colloid is called the colloidal goiter. So all the simple have all the three categories, toxic has all the three categories, and neoplastic, as we all know that it is benign and malignant tumors. Thyroiditis is, this may be, it may be autoimmune, where the disease acts itself, and there is a deep variant thyroiditis. So if in the case of simple goiter, we will say that there is mainly the increase in the TSH hormone, which activate the thyroid glands to grow larger, as due to the decrease in the T3 and T4. There might be familial tendency, and there might be endemic goiter, where is iodine deficiency is there, mostly in the hilly areas. There are some of the goitrogens, some families are eating brassica family, that are the cabbage, turnips, kale, Brussels, cauliflower sprout. These are the goitrogenic substances, and we should teach the patient to avoid these substances during the thyroid problems. Now next we will see that in the first stage, due to the TSH stimulation, the follicles get enlarged. Firstly, the inside the thyroid gland there is the enlargement of the follicles, and in the second stage there come the most of the intake of the iodine. And in the third stage, gland enlarged to enormous stage, that is called the colloidal goiter. So these are the all the three stages, that are related to the goiter. Now next, we will discuss about some of the types, that if there is the enlargement of the thyroid gland, what will be the symptoms over there? There will be the dysphagia, and there will be the movement of the enlarged thyroid gland during breathing, and there will be the pressure on the nerves near to the thyroid gland, as we have already studied in case of the video related to the anatomy, that there is a recurrent laryngeal nerve. If it gets pressed due to the enlargement of the thyroid gland, so the symptoms develop. There will be the decrease in the tracheal functions, and this is called the Horner syndrome. And there may be the effect or the pressure on the jugular veins that causes the distension of them. Now next, we will see about the nodular goiter. As I already told that this may be nodular goiter is the usually in case of the females, and this is the a small portion is involved in this, and these nodules are usually colloidal. They may be cystic or degenerative, they may be hemorrhagic, or there may be calcification of this. So in case of the colloidal goiter, these are the patients usually above the 25 years, and there is the dysphagia, there is the Horner syndrome, and diagnosis is quite easy. In this case, we should go for the thyroid function T3 T4, and there is the straight X-ray, barium swallow X-ray can be done, and there is the ultrasonography should be done in this case. So this was about the goiter and its symptoms. Now next we will see that there is the solitary nodule. This is sometimes the question is asked about the solitary nodule. Solitary nodule means a single swelling, that is isolated one, then the other lobes, and this happens in case of the thyroid lobes only, not in the isthmus. This happens in the any area of both the lobes, and this is might be about variable size, 1 to 4 centimeter in size. And this may causes deglutation. For the diagnosis, we have to go for the radioactive scan. A radioactive scan, and if it is hot, then it may be carcinoma, and if it is cold, then it is simply a nodule. So what is the treatment? The treatment for this one is only the excision of the solitary nodule along with the sum of the thyroid margins. This is very important question, that what is the treatment for the solitary nodule, that you have to remove the solitary nodule along with the sum of the surrounding areas of it. So this was related to the goiter. Now we will see about the Graves' disease or the toxic goiters. About the simple goiter, now we will see about the toxic goiters. The first one is the Graves' disease, as we have all know about the Graves' disease. In case of the Graves' disease, there is the hyperplasia and hypertrophy of the thyroid gland, and there is the hyperthyroidism, increase in the T4 and T3. There is the exophthalmos, very important, and there is the pretibial edema. These are the very important points in this case. So why this pretibial edema occurs? This occurs due to this binding of some of the antibodies. Antibodies binds with the TSH receptors and thus stimulate the thyroid functions. The antibodies are immunoglobulins and are called the long-acting thyroid stimulators. And this may cause, it produces its maximum effect approximately 20 hours as compared to 2 hours in case of the TSH. So if there is we find antibodies plus TSH in anybody's body, its action time remains 20 hours as compared to the TSH, which remains for the 2 hours only. Now what is the clinical features in this case? That there is the goiter, enlargement of the thyroid gland. There is the tremor. Tremor is the most important in case of the thyrotoxicosis. If we said to the patient to do his or her hand like this, so they will be trembling. These are called the tremors. And it is common, muscle problem is commonly seen in case of the males as compared to the females. There will be the weight loss, etc. All the symptoms are related to the T4, and there is the tachycardia, pulse pressure increased, and the one important symptom is the water hammer pulse is there. Water hammer pulse and atrial fibrillation. So these are the important ones. This happens in case of toxic goiter, in case of the thyrotoxicosis, atrial fibrillation. Next, there is the excessive perspiration is there. There is the pretibial myxedema is due to the thickening of the skin with the mucin-like deposits. This occurs due to the mucin-like deposits where water retention occurs, and that is called the pretibial edema. About the exophthalmos, there is the retrobulbar swelling or retention in case of the retrobulbar tissues of the eye that lead to the exophthalmos. And these are fluid filled cells, round cells are there. So this is important about the MCQ related type. So next is the there is the mild form and the true form or the severe form, you can say. In case of the mild form, there is the contraction of the molar muscles, probably due to continuous sympathetic solution. In case of the exophthalmos, mild form has molar muscles contractions, and the severe form has there will be the retrobulbar fluid. So in this case, the treatment part is the anti-thyroid drugs, radioactive iodine, and surgery should be done. And due to the what are the side effects of the anti-thyroid drugs? Anti-thyroid drugs leads to the aplastic anemia, that it affects on the bone marrow and leads to aplastic anemia on the long term basis. And now I will tell you some of the questions asked about the complications, or this straight questions sometimes asked about in case of the thyroidectomy. What is the most immediate complication? That is the hemorrhage, and there might be infection, there might be hemorrhage, of course, after the removal of the thyroid gland, infection. There is the I have already told, a recurrent laryngeal nerve palsy after the treatment. There is the respiratory obstruction. So after respiratory obstruction occurs due to the laryngeal nerve palsy, so for that the immediate tracheostomy should be done to save the patient. And there is the parathyroid insufficiency. As we remove the thyroid glands, there is the also removal of the parathyroid glands, so there will be the tetany like symptoms after the operation. So hormone should be given, and the calcium should be given via drip. For the recurrent nerve palsy, the time period is, it may take 3 weeks to 3 months. 3 weeks to 3 months to get clear. As we all know that the recurrent laryngeal nerve supplies all the muscles of the larynx except the cricothyroid. This is the very important point, and very most of the time question is asked. And then the next important question is that is the, if there is this superior laryngeal nerve palsy, what condition will appear? Until now we were talking about the recurrent laryngeal nerve palsy, and now we will talk about the superior laryngeal nerve. When there is a superior laryngeal nerve palsy, what happens? The vocal cords, they get paralyzed, and the condition comes as the larynx lies in case of the dead person. So its palsy causes the cadaveric position of the cord, laryngeal cord, laryngeal cords. This is very important. Sometimes the thyroid symptoms appear after 3 to 4 days of the operation. This point is important, that how much time is required to appearance of the thyroid crisis. That is after 3 to 4 days. And as I have already told that after the operation, the patient has some kind of laryngeal edema develops. These are the direct questions, please. Laryngeal obstruction, laryngeal edema develops after the surgery. So when the edema develops, patient is unable to speak, so this we should have to put a cut over there. We have to incise that surgical stitches, and besides the tension, hematoma develops. Laryngeal edema may be caused by the anesthetic intubation and surgical manipulation. So in this case, we should have to cut those sutures and to release the tension over there. Now I will tell you a little bit about the rare cases of the thyrotoxicosis. As we know about the D-querent thyroiditis, there may be the mild hyperthyroidism, D. Queren. There is the hyperthyroidism. Due to the liberation of the thyroid hormones from the damaged thyroid gland. So after a few times or few days, ultimately there will be the hypothyroidism will develop in case of the D. Queren thyroiditis, where the injuries of the thyroid gland has occurred, and this will be painful, and ESR is always elevated. Next is the George-Bastow's disease. What happens in this? That large doses of iodine given to hyperplastic endemic goiter may produce hyperthyroidism, where the goiter was present and physician has given large doses of the iodine and the patient develops the hyperthyroidism, that is called the George-Bastow's disease. So this was all about the different types of the goiters, and the next video we will discuss about the neoplastic goiters. Those are the tumors of the thyroid gland and thyroiditis. Thank you.